All right, everyone. I'm back, and there we go, ZBrush. So, my name is Eric Keller, and today we are going to be discussing insects, bugs. I'm going to be picking up where I left off on my last live stream. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to turn off the title bar, and give me 1 second here real quick. I'm going to fix something real quick with the title bar in Photoshop so you know who I am. So my name is not default your name. So the last time I worked on this was okay, hold on a second. Let me bring this up here a little bit. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, I started working on this insect model, and so you can check out the live stream for that. I had another live stream scheduled, but then my computer kind of died on me, and I had to reinstall Windows, and that was no fun at all. So my computer was down for a week or so. So now I'm back, and I'm excited to be here and excited to do some more ZBrushing. And to continue with this project, which is, of course, this katydid that I'm doing, kind of a cartoony style, sort of like Pixar inspired. Pixar inspired. And so I'm going to get to that in just a second here. All right. There we go. Okay. So thanks for your patience on that. I just want to make sure the title bar actually said something useful. Okay, so taking a look here in my reference, I have some pictures that I've gotten from online of katydids. So katydid is kind of related to a grasshopper, but they tend to be very colorful, and they're very diverse, and they're very beautiful. One of my favorite insects. They also make noises, songs, much like grasshoppers and crickets do. I also threw in some of my favorite sort of stylized animation design. I'm a big fan of Illumination, Pixar, of course, some DreamWorks stuff as well. And this is actually a picture of a model that I did. This is a more realistic katydid model that I did for a VR project. So this is sort of a real-time model. And then this is my original sort of cartoony design of the katydid that I did a few years ago as a demo in one of my ZBrush classes. So I thought it was pretty good, but it's kind of unfinished, so I'm kind of revisiting it and thought I'd have some fun with it because I think katydids are really cool. So where I left off last time, I had created this out of Z-spheres, and I've just skinned it. It's kind of in a Dynamesh sort of sketching phase. So let's work on the rear legs a little bit, because they've got some cool stuff going on here, as you can see. Nice little designs and spikes. And let me see if we can find a good one that's kind of clear. That one's kind of nice right there. Yeah, let's take a look at that as kind of an example. And then, of course, I have my reference. I got to set up my preferences here. So it's always on top. Okay. No, that doesn't work. That's okay. I'll just put it on this other window over here. We can just check on it. There we go. It's this button right here, always on top. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. All right, so what I'm going to do is switch over to ZBrush and kind of play with this a little bit more. I want to make it a bit more exaggerated. Hey Eduardo, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. Where are you watching this from? So what I'm going to do is turn on. I have these different polygroups, so I'm going to turn on mask by polygroups. Since these are different polygroups, I want to be able to work on them individually without, the move brush affecting this part. So I'll go in here under brush and under auto masking, I'm going to set mask by polygroups up to 100. Then that way I can start to, as I push this one around, you see how it's not affecting that purple polygroup, and I can make it overlap a little bit better. Same with down here. And then, the interesting thing about insect legs is that, the muscle is on the inside of the leg, on the inside of the exoskeleton. So unlike human muscles, where our muscles are inside of the skin, and on the outside of the skeleton, so our muscles attached to our bones, right, endoskeleton. With insects, the muscles are the inside of the bone, the exoskeleton. So you have this kind of casing here, and they have two muscles that both pull, and all muscles pull, right? So if I'm flexing my arm like this, then basically my bicep is pulling my forearm. But if I'm extending, then my tricep is extending my forearm. So they're either both sides are pulling, and the other side is relaxing. Same thing with insect muscles. We have two pairs of muscles on the inside of the exoskeleton, and they either pull or they relax. And so what you end up is having kind of like a lever in a joint like this. So you can kind of see at the joint a little bit of the exposed muscle there in between the parts of the skeleton. I'm not going to make this super realistic because this is more of a cartoon character, but I still want to kind of be accurate. So I'm going to kind of have this overlapping like this. Oh yeah, pillows are a lot of fun to make. I've actually been working on making some, I do more than just bugs. I've been working on making some furniture lately for a cafe, like a French cafe. And that includes like making pillows and that kind of thing. Just a lot of fun. I don't know. I like sculpting just about anything in ZBrush, so so it doesn't matter what the object is. I mean, bugs are obviously my favorite, and then spiders and other creatures. But sometimes modeling something as simple as a chair can be a lot of fun too, because it's just fun to kind of take a look at it. And like if you're saying doing upholstery and pillows and that kind of stuff, then you're talking about wrinkles, and that's always fun too. And like drapery, it's always fun to work on. So I'm just kind of creating sort of a stylized sort of cup here using the SK cloth brush, which is a custom brush by Sakaki Kuro, who's also a live streamer. So I'm going to hold the Alt key and kind of go in here and just kind of suggest this. I usually do details and passes, so I'm not going to do fine detail yet. I'm just kind of like working out the shapes and how I want them to look. Maybe the silhouette a little bit. actually getting into insect muscles is something that I'd like to do. It's not easy to do because, as you can imagine, reference is difficult. What's really cool, though, is these days with scan data, the scans, depending on the type of scan you get, I've been working with a lot of scientists on this kind of stuff. You can get a scan that actually shows the inside anatomy of an insect. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to move this off to the side here real quick. And let's go into... I'm working on a bumblebee for a client at the moment, based on a scan data, and I'm just going to pull up the actual scan data here, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So this is the scan. I made this one symmetrical. The original version is not symmetrical, but if I have the abdomen there, I turn on the solo button and make sure symmetry is turned off. You can actually see some of the muscles and attachments on the inside of the abdomen here. I mean, there's a lot more going on in the abdomen. That's where you have a lot of the vital organs. I don't think all of them show up in the scan, but you can see sort of how the muscles are holding together the exoskeleton there. Take a look at the thorax. Should be able to see even more there. Yeah, this is really cool. You can actually see the muscles, because with the insect flies, right, it's actually the thorax, the wing muscles are moving the wings, sort of swimming through the air. But that's generally not enough to keep enough speed to actually keep the insect in flight. So the thorax actually contracts, and that helps with the movement of the wings. And you can see some of these muscles attached on the inside of the thorax here to help it to contract. It's kind of a nice little design there. But insect muscles are something that I'd like to get more into, but it takes a lot of research and a lot more interesting reference. It's not when you're working with a scan, it's hard to tell sometimes what you're looking at, if it's actually part of the insect or some kind of artifact. I did want to mention that I have a website called Entomology Animated, where I do animations that explore insect physiology, if you're curious. So I have a series on insect vision and that kind of stuff, so if you want to check that out. And these are all models made with ZBrush. Okay, let's get to some actual sculpting here. Are we going to talk or are we going to sculpt? So what I'm going to do here is take a look. You can see that these guys have hairs coming out. I have Sculptress is not behaving, Sculptress mode. I can't turn it on, and the reason is because of my auto masking setting. So I have auto mask by polygroup set to 100. So I'm going to put this down to 0 and switch over to my snake hook. And now I can turn Sculptress on. Sometimes there's those little things you forget that can affect how things like Sculptress works. So now I have Sculptress mode, and I can kind of pull this out and making sort of this claw that we see here in the end of the foot, this lovely, super complicated insect foot. bring down the Z intensity a little bit.